You're good, Jen.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the New Canaan Parking Commission meeting. It's March 1st, 2023, 7 o'clock. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on February 1st.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Do we want to do parking violations appeals, everybody?
Sure, there's only one, so it should be easy. I don't see Mr. Merrill signing in. He did get the email about the meeting, so I guess if you guys want to talk about it, or if you have any questions for me, I don't know.
Anybody have any feelings about this?
I think that we should void it. I think that if he was parking in the Roten since 2012 and, you know, the app was the app and, you know, he had to have his wife go down to the parking lot and get the space number and put the money in and get that done. I think that it was all in good faith, but
I absolutely
Yeah.
agree with that. I absolutely agree. He had all the right intentions. Unfortunately, he didn't do it correctly, but I don't know if he should be penalized for that. I think he did his best and probably will never do it again. So I feel the same way. Anybody else?
Just letting Marley in.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's a good thing that he's commuting from New Canaan after Norotan Heights for 11 years.
Or at least until the summer when we don't have a train.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, we got to talk about that. That's crazy.
Well, it's not the first time they've rattled those swords, right?
Right.
Okay.
I wasn't going to agree with you, but I'll go along with it. Good faith. Give him a one-time chance.
Yep. Good. How do you feel about that, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna like either go like void the ticket or just like give him back his like $6.30. I could go either way.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that, even if we wanted to.
No,
I don't think so.
Unfortunately.
Well, we
we
could
can't-
take up a collection.
I was gonna say, is Kevin gonna write a check for that? Yeah, I don't know. So we're waiting for one more vote? One more participant to vote?
Is it me?
Yeah. There she is. Yeah, are you guys ready to vote? All in favor to void the ticket? Raise your hand. Okay,
Aye.
I don't see Nancy anymore, but I think she
No.
feels,
I'm here.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have voted to void Ben Merrill's ticket. So that is our only appeal. Do we want to talk about old business, commuter survey and South Avenue loading zone?
So, I'll start with the South Avenue loading zone because the commuter survey might be a little bit more involved. But I went to the police commission on the recommendation of, changing the loading zone that's on the corner of South Avenue and Elm Street. Initially to what I call an all-day loading zone, so we could stripe it a little bit better, make it a little bit more visible. People wouldn't think it was a regular parking spot. I was at the meeting on February 15th. The police commission agreed. They liked the idea. Their decision was to stripe it, make it a loading zone. The sign, okay, so they didn't want to keep it a loading zone 24/7. They wanted it to be utilized at some point. So going back and forth, it was agreed upon to make it a loading zone. It says the sign is just going to say loading zone, commercial vehicles only, Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. The street will be striped with markings that say loading zone on the street itself, with 2 signs in red that state what I just said, loading zone, commercial vehicles only Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6. So that Sunday it could be utilized as a parking spot. After 6, it could be utilized as a parking spot. It will just be the loading zone during very heavy commercial hours. So, that worked out well.
Great.
As for the commuter survey,
Well, wait, Stacy, I have one quick question about loading zones, if you don't mind, while we're talking about it. I spend like my whole life on Forest Street with my kids. Is the loading zone in front of the old Pet Value? Like, people always ask me, like, can I park there? Can I not? Is that a loading zone? There doesn't seem to be like a ton of signage there. What's the answer to that question?
that on the same side as Pet Value or on the opposite, like by the diner?
In front of Pet Value, there's like almost 2-car spaces of like striped off white, no parking.
That's a no parking area. That's like no parking. That's not a loading zone at all. That's no
Okay.
parking. Yeah.
Because of the width of the street,
Yeah.
it's too narrow.
But there's parking behind it and on the other side of it. And it used to be parking spaces. I just want to give them an answer.
It's because of the driveway, so you can't make the turn and it blocks coming out. So they made that area a no parking zone. That's why it's striped off. It wasn't the loading zone. The loading zone used to be across the street by the diner in the morning hours, but it went to a 15-minute zone. So, yeah, so that's not, I know some trucks will park there. I know people will utilize it, but it does create a hazard when people do park there. So it really should have no parking at all. That's why it's marked like that.
Okay. Okay. I don't know that there's a sign in front of it.
So this is something I checked into because the state regulations say you can have either or. You don't have to have both. So you can have markings on the street or you can have signs. I know the town is trying to limit the amount of signs on the street. So that's why we're doing a lot of markings. And they don't want to go with a different color. They want to kind of be consistent with the white, not throw all kinds of different colors. So that's why you don't see a sign there. That's why you just see the markings on the street. It doesn't have to be both. It could be either or. So.
Got it. Okay. I'll let people know. I get I get it probably like twice a month. So I'll just let people know.
Yeah. So now you know, now they can come to you. All right, commuter survey. So as mentioned, there is a possibility, nothing is confirmed yet, that they are closing down the branch line between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Because of this, Kevin wanted to put a hold right now on the commuter survey until we have some confirmation on what is going on, because it's felt that should there be this shutdown, besides letting everybody know, we might want to have some feedback on how people feel. I know Bob was doing some research into going to Darien, seeing what we can provide. So we would have a lot of questions to put out there to our commuters, but to do it knowing what's actually going to happen might not be the way to go. So that was just a thought on this end. Any feedback? Yes.
So I have just more question about what we do know about the stoppage. Is it an exchange for maintenance? Like, is this the end of trains plowing through fences and not being able to crawl down the track during, a light drizzle?
We really can't get a definitive answer. We first heard of it when some of the commuters heard from the conductors that this was happening, and then they started calling and asking all of us, and what we've heard, again, we've asked our legislators and our representatives to get us information, and they've confirmed that the DOT said that there is going to be some work done on the line, but really has not given us any idea of what that really involves.
Mhm.
We've heard that there's some negotiations going on between the DOT and Metro North, and maybe that's why the information isn't there yet, but we still just don't have a full picture of what we're dealing with. Again, we've heard Memorial Day to Labor Day, but that was all, kind of through the grapevine information.
Well, my gut reaction is like we could still be waiting for another 6 to 8 weeks, and that's losing time when we're really dealing with what happens in September and beyond. So to me, waiting around for what Metro North might do or what we can do to help people during that period is kind of irrelevant. I mean, it would be nice to have killed two birds with one stone, but I just, knowing this bureaucracy, I just don't give a lot of stock. And then they're gonna, because we need to kind of have a plan for September by, when do you normally put out the renewal of permits?
will
Stacy,
go out-
May, June?
End of,
May?
because, no, it'll be an end of July, beginning of August renewal period. That's when we'll get the notifications out for September 1st start.
Okay, well, that's a little bit more time than I thought, but we still kind of need to put out the survey, take the data, crunch the results, come up with a new plan, approve a plan, announce a plan. So by the time you do the math on that, it's getting pretty close. So that's my thought, but others.
Drew, I don't totally disagree with you. The only worry I have is that if the branch line thing is a thing that's happening and people are like mad or frustrated, like, does that come through the survey in a way that like clouds some of our answers? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, we should acknowledge it and say, just say regardless, because, well, let's just say this does happen, right? During the summer, are people going to be demanding a refund for 3 months, prorated somehow for what they paid last year?
Well, that's something that we are trying to look into, where we're gonna try to give them other options.
Run a shuttle or something.
And definitely work with them if the branch line does shut down. I mean, to refund everybody who has a permit, that would be a lot. If we had to send them to a place where they would have to pay for parking, or they went other places and they had to pay, maybe, and this is just thinking, nothing, that we extend the renewal period or extend their current permit for the amount of time that we were down. Branch line was not open. There are ways that we could work around that. Should we have to send them other places where they're paying now for parking and they're kind of paying twice? We'll come up with some.
Does Kevin have a date when they're gonna come back and say definitively, we're gonna close down this branch line?
Kevin's on the Zoom. I don't know if he's gonna chime in here or not. To the best of to what I know, we're told that, they're actively looking to get us some answers. Drew, I'm with you too. I wouldn't suggest that we just sit and wait until we get the answers, but I think we probably, if we put a survey out without, like you said, we need to acknowledge that this is going on. I want to use it also as an opportunity to hopefully educate them a little bit. And as Stacy said, at that point in time, we might be able to offer them some alternatives as opposed to just the bus that Metro North is going to provide, taking them down to Stanford, making all the stops. So I think, as for your purposes, you all should still be thinking about the survey and the survey questions. But I think we should just be ready to go with that, but first get as much information as we can, at least get confirmation as to what we're dealing with.
My question is, what's our degree of confidence that if they do shut down between May and September, that they're going to reopen in September?
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah,
we don't know,
We don't know.
right?
That opens a whole other can of worms.
Well, I would hate to do all this work, send the survey out, get the results, analyze the results, and then the whole game changes. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me either.
And this, we don't think that this is some sort of longer term end run to cancel the line altogether?
Oh, I don't think so, but I'm just, unless anybody.
Well, some of the scuttlebutt that we've been discussing.
This is.
You may
finance.
recall that they announced that they're going to add an East Stamford station. And East Stamford, that station would require our track where it connects with the main line to be actually moved over. Hence the reason for the line shutdown, and having gone down to view the site, it looks like they've got flags out there that they're doing some surveying and all that. That makes a little bit of sense why they have to shut it down, because it's right where we connect with the main line.
So you're saying it wouldn't necessarily be switching the track and cutting us out. It's just a temporary thing to accommodate both, right? To put in a new station.
Because
And
even
then-
a mention with a retiree who's still in touch with all the people told me that the new Canaan line is going to be connecting in Stamford in a little different spot than it is for right now.
But there's no official word, right?
But we have no facts from.
Yeah, nothing,
That's-
nothing.
Well, look,
Ridiculous.
why don't, why don't we just proceed, with figuring out what we would ask otherwise, and then as news comes in, maybe we don't send it out before the next meeting. We have another chance to weigh in, have a question that sort of says, here's what we know. It's almost, it may be more of an announcement than a question about the shutdown. Anyway.
Yeah, so I have like some questions that Drew had already sent over. I have put couple of questions myself. So if any of you have any other questions, send them to me. I'll compile them all into one document, and then we could, all take a look at it and see, or Jen, actually, I think we'll put it, I'll send it out to everyone, and then we can, Jen and I can go back and forth and figure out what few questions would be good, and then at least we'll have something that we can put together or pull when we want to send out the survey. So,
Okay. Is there any sense that we're gonna get any answers in the next week or two, or is this something that we don't think we're gonna hear back for a month or two?
I reached out to Tom O'Day and Lucy Dathan today and asked them to get back to me with information, and they said they're still working on it, so we just don't
Okay.
know.
Okay, fair enough.
Should we think about putting the survey out, like, just and make the survey right now and then just put it out like in the next week? Before all this like kind of comes to a head?
I'd be afraid to do that only because the commuters all know about this, because they've been talking about it, and they'll say, what do you mean, you're asking us how, when this whole huge predicament is in the future? And I don't think we need to do it right now, and I think it's, like Marley said, I think it's just gonna change their responses. I think we'll get information that won't be relevant
Yeah.
based on what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I
And-
agree with that.
people question like what's going to happen, should they shut down the line, what are we planning to do if they have to go other places, and like I said, I've told them that we're working on alternatives that we can direct, and but until we know something definitive, I can't really answer.
Stacy's also been reaching out to her counterpart in the other towns along the way to try to, yeah, they don't know anything either, even in Stanford, they didn't know anything about it. So there's something, it's just strange, quite honestly, it's just strange.
Stanford,
Maybe
you know,
maybe it's an urban myth. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, except so many people heard it from the conductors, that was the strange part, that's where it all started.
It's weird.
So the
I don't know. I
construction's
would give
gonna
it a week
happen
or two.
south of the Glenbrook station?
I'm sorry.
The
Sorry?
construction's gonna happen, that line switch or what have you is going to happen between Glenbrook. I can't
Springdale?
remember what happened, what comes first, Glenbrook or
Springdale.
Springdale, Glenbrook. So it'll happen between Glenbrook and Stamford.
Correct.
So we'll report back to you all, as soon as we learn anything, but I think it does make sense now to just sort of proceed with all the questions. Have them ready so that, and we can, have it loaded and ready to go, but I think we just need to push the pause button here just for a bit until we can get some more confirmation as to what we're dealing with.
And you can include, if you have ideas, questions, if the branch line does shut down for those, 3 months, if you have like a question that you want to address the shutdown, include that. We'll add that if we need to.
Stacy, do you have anything to share with us now, like other people's questions? I don't know if anybody contributed anything, but we're all gathered. Could take a few
at this
minutes.
point. The only question that I wanted to add was, and this was before the shutdown, with the deferral list coming to an end on the 31st of August, are you planning on reinstating your permit, or are you willing to give it up? That would be one of my questions. I don't think that was on your questions, Drew. And there was another one that's escaping me now, and I don't have it in front of me, so forgive me, but there was another question that I had as well.
Well, just regarding your question there, I mean, maybe from where I'm coming from is I'm assuming that, giving a permit up means, like the permit that exists now is not going to necessarily exist going forward, or it's going to be a radically different price or a different time period. So I guess we would just need to, I guess what you're getting at is if things stay the same, if commuter is asked if things stay the same, would they give it up, right? So that
Right.
makes sense. Okay, right,
And like I said, that was before I found out that the line was shutting down. That would be
right.
one of the questions that would help me. So.
Okay. So just in terms of options, as long as we're spitballing here, I know giving refunds would be a logistical nightmare and probably overkill, but you would just maybe either extend the permit period, the existing permit period for however long the shutdown is, or giving them some sort of credit, however we determine what those are, towards
I
the new
think-
permits.
Yeah, I think I think I hate to use the word easiest, but probably thinking right now, and again, this is just off the top of my head, it would be easier to extend the current permit for the amount of time and then prorate the next permit year for the amount of time that's left in that permit year.
That makes sense.
That probably would be the best and easiest solution. But again, as we all know, Memorial Day to Labor Day, but nothing ever goes the way the time schedule is planned. So, should we have to shut the line down, let's just hope it's only for the period that they're talking about, and it doesn't go a little bit further.
Got it.
But I think that would be the best way to go, to just extend it and then throw it the next year's permit, once we have to.
Okay,
For the survey, and apologies, I missed the last meeting and I can't remember if we had this discussion or where we fell out on it, but is one of the options to offer like different days of permits, or are we just gonna go forward like it's 5-day, it's like a one size fits all permit?
I think depending on, again, I think based on what the survey outcome was gonna be with the answers from people and the usage of the lot, there are a lot of different things that could be thought of. I don't think it's ever gonna be a 5-day-a-week permit. So I think we need to start thinking outside the box a little bit to utilize that parking lot. But right now, without knowing what everybody's going to do, it's a hard thing to gauge on what we want to do. Like, some of my thoughts are to give just, you know, the 1-day passes for 3 days a week. You know, maybe seeing if there's a way that we, depending on when everybody commutes, if we can make a permit that just fits that commuting period, and seeing if we could patrol like that. I don't know if that's an option, but I do really think I have to start thinking outside the box, but I need a little bit more information on before we go in that direction.
Right. Like, my question is just from the like IT end, like, does our ticketing system, whatever, you know, we use to tag and ticket people in the lot, can that somehow, like, if we offer like a 3-day-a-week flex permit, can it say, okay, this is the 3rd day, you know, you've already parked 3 days, like, does the technology exist to even do some of these things?
That's something I would have to look into. I know with our old system software, it didn't. You know, it was pretty, you have a permit, you have a permit. Didn't matter when you used it. I'm not sure if this new permit system could break it down to, okay, this person has a permit only for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This one has a permit on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't know the answer to that. Would be something I would have to research a little bit more. But we can do it different ways. We can have the person who wants to maybe buy the permit, or we can have 1-day permits. Again, we can go back to physical permits that people put on cars. I mean, there's other ways to possibly do it initially, and then maybe with technology move a little forward to see if there's programs out there that could break it down into days. You know, maybe we can go to, I hate to do it, it's a little bit harder to maybe do it monthly, where people could just renew permits monthly, but maybe moving forward, this new system will. I'm not that familiar with it yet. I'm working with it. So maybe, you know, we can change it to a monthly renewal. But that's
Or-
what I have to look into.
Or quarterly, maybe.
Quarterly, right.
But Marley, just to chime in here, I think the way we left it is we were going to come up with questions of how do you get people's preferences stated so that we can reverse engineer what they would prefer to a parking regime that would be convenient. So if they say, I'm only, you know, if you ask them how many days you're going to commute, and it's, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesdays and Thursdays only, they would mark we'd have those days of the week as options, and they'd select each one that applies, and then we would know which days are kind of big days and how many days are most people going to park.
Well, we sort of know that already, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, there's like 2 ways to ask the question, right? It's like, what days are you going? And then the other question, which I guess I'm trying to think about, like, do we or don't we want to ask, like, if this option existed, would you buy it? But I also don't want to like put it in people's heads if we can't even do it like technologically.
You can add I don't see a problem. It would be helpful to see, like, oh yes, if we have this option, if we can provide you this option, would it be an option that you would take? We're not saying that we are providing you this option, but if we can.
Yeah, but we would need to know first if we can.
Right, yeah, I got that, yeah, you're right, I see, right,
If we can't.
if we can, I gotcha.
So-
My
Stacy,
only with permits that
I just have
occur-
a question or comment. I'm looking back at that appeal that we just talked about, and you know, he talks about this Norotan Heights app has my license plate stored, and the ticket checker just looks at that. There's no space number required, and that the app allows for multi-day purchases, so the commuter can buy a full week or however many days they want up front at the start. So I don't think they're necessarily asking them which specific days. We may want to just look at that.
So Nancy, that was like literally the next thing out of my mouth, because this ticket made me think of like, if this option exists, right? Like, how do we get it? And then if it exists elsewhere and people are like, why don't we have it? You know, how do we answer that?
Right.
Well, we have that's how we,
Yeah,
that's how we do it
now.
now, that's how we know somebody has a permit, we do it by license.
Pay by phone. Well, it's a different, it's a different
Yeah,
system
but-
evidently. Yeah,
we put the license plates and Boxcar does the same thing. So when they use Boxcar, Tom and Chu, we go by license plates too. It's just we use a different, we use the pay by phone, we use it by space number. That's the only difference with that one.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it should be phone-based and it should be, basically, you should do everything you need to do as a commuter on the phone and purchase how many days as you want. And it's like a receipt that somehow, gets shared with the town, and the meter person goes, okay, I've got this guy, he's got this unique ID. I see the license, that's the one that matches this account. And guess what? It's a Monday. He didn't pay for Mondays, or, it's, whatever. I know I'm speaking out of turn here because I don't know really how it works, but there's got to be a way that,
it's like a 10
it's
pass.
all managed on the phone, and all you have to do is check.
I think this, asking them if they wanna, get a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever, pass, is gonna be very problematic for Stacy more than anybody else, because you have every intention of only working Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then your boss says, oh, I need you
Right.
Thursday.
Exactly. I feel, yeah.
Because it does change. I mean, yes, probably 75% are going certain days, but you're gonna need to be in for different days. I like the idea of a multiple parking pass kind of thing. It tells you you've got 20 days to park, right? And
Right.
or whatever. You didn't
So
have.
credits are the 10 ticket thing, like on the train.
Maybe we
10
should
trips.
tie into Easy Pass and somehow get, it can all be in your Easy Pass, both the bridges, tolls and trains. Stacy, I've been sitting here looking through my emails, and I know I responded to that questionnaire when you sent it back some time ago, but at some point, would you be able to send up the updated or just another copy around? Because for whatever reason, it's not in my attachments that I can find. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And the last time we did the survey, the time frame was the first week in May.
Okay, well, we've got time. And that gave you enough time to extrapolate what you needed?
Yeah, I mean, that was a COVID situation, right? We were really just trying to get some COVID answers. But yeah.
Okay, are we done talking about this, or do you want to continue? This will move on otherwise.
Just keep thinking and sending your questions in.
Okay, do we want to have the parking department manager report?
So just to update you, I had put in a request to increase the meter rates and some violation fees. And that was approved at the Board of Selectmen meeting. I believe it was on January 31st, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, I don't know if you were aware, I think you might be, in 2020, the state implemented a 6.35% sales tax, and that included, besides permits, meter rates. Since January, of course, we got hit with COVID, the town has been kind of eating those, that sales tax. So with this increase in the meter rates, it'll cover the sales tax and give us a little bit more revenue for the town. The rates are going from, so if people were paying for 15 minutes at 25 cents, it was going to 30 cents, 30 minutes from 50 to 55, 45 minutes, 75 to 80, and 1 hour is going from an hour to 125. The business lots, now those are for the 3 lots, Playhouse Park and Morse Court. There are 6-hour spaces in the Playhouse lot. That's increasing. It's a flat rate fee for 6 hours. That's increasing from $3 to $3.50. And the Center School and Locust lot, which are our business lots, the hour rate was 50 cents. It's now going to 55 cents. Again, we haven't increased these rates even before the sales tax since 2012. So it was time. Parking fines, we have a number, we have 8 fines that we really, or 8 violations that we utilize. And to be consistent with surrounding towns, the violations have been raised on these, what I say, 10 violations, 8, excuse me, 8 violations. They have been raised $5 each. So like for unpaid space, it went from $25 to $30. Overtime parking, 25 to 30, loading zone, 30 to 35, no parking zone, 30 to 35. Crosswalk, 75 to 80, double parking, 50 to 55, no permit, 30 to 35, and the unpaid space at the train stations, 30 to 35. So we've increased just those fines or violations, $5. And again, those have not been increased since 2014. I just wanted to let you know about that.
And that will go in effect when? April
Oh,
1.
I'm sorry. Yes, it'll go in effect April 1st.
And what's our plan for letting people know? I mean, do we?
We put that, we're putting it in the Sanford Advocate and the Median and Advertiser, right? We make the
On the
notification.
website.
And the website, yes.
Does the state government get a percentage of whatever we collect from parking violations?
No, they don't get it, no sales tax.
So they're raising rates on, for us, so that we can take more from our people?
No, they imposed the sales tax.
They're not raising the violations, they're not raising the rates. It was my request to put in.
But that's
To-
because we were eating a certain amount of money, right?
Not for the ticket fees, not for the
Not for
ticket,
ticket fees. Okay,
no, just meter rates.
oh, okay. Okay, well, I mean, you have to be consistent with other towns, I would think, but. I mean, the sales tax, I mean, I think people are getting hit. You know, every which way with inflation, and it seems like a bad time to do that, but. It's okay.
Well, the violations are violations. I mean, that's sort of punitive action, but the regular rates, I mean, are just going up minimal.
In fact, Greenwich also raised their rates for their meter fees, but they actually doubled it. They went from $1 to $2 to $2 to.
Oh my God. Well, that's Greenwich for you.
I mean, ours are going
So
up.
ours is going up a little bit,
A nickel.
just to help us a little bit, so we don't have to absorb the state sales tax.
Right, all right, okay.
So,
And the reason why this was important to sort out now is because this affects her budget. So that's why we have to approve all of these fees.
Okay. Okay, what's next, guys? I don't have anything else on the agenda.
I have a question for Stacy. Stacy, you mentioned you were still having growing pains with the new software. Any updates on that?
Getting a little bit better. I'm learning to work with it more. I still have not gotten everything migrated over to the old system. It's a little frustrating. I am still working on that. I have a contact from the old software company who migrated over to Passport, and she's working with me. She has a little bit higher of a status in Passport. So now I CC'd her on my last communication with my representative, and now she seems to be looking into it. You know, again, a little bit of growing pains, it's not terrible, but the biggest test is gonna be during the renewal period.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
that's my other question. Are you alone in this? Because, you know, it's a lot of work and there's a lot of expertise perhaps needed to make the two things work. Tucker, is there anybody who can help from the town to make this easier? I don't know. It's
It's
kinda
really on
crazy.
it's really on our end, and I'm doing okay, and I know that if I have an IT question or something like that, our IT unit would absolutely step in to help, but right now, there's not much computer stuff that I need to do. It's really getting the information migrated over and then working on seeing how they send out their renewal notices with this new system. And again, it's, you know, it's really on me, and I'm okay with that. I'll be able to manage it.
I think the
But
more
again-
she,
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the more she uses it, you know, the more familiar she'll become with it.
Yep.
The more, different types of transactions that she has to do with it, I think will make her more comfortable with it.
All right, but again, if we're contemplating a more flexible permitting system, do we have confidence that the system is gonna be flexible to accommodate that?
No,
I don't
at
know
this,
yet.
at this time, I don't have an answer for you, but again, I mean, I wouldn't be able to answer with any software program just yet. Everybody has a
Right.
different type of program. So I am staying with this only because this is something I had to migrate over with, so I'm hoping for the best. It's not. It's working right now. And again, if we see that we need something more, I definitely have other contacts to work with.
Great, great,
Different-
okay.
Are we all set? Any questions, concerns, discussions?
I think we're good. Next meeting's April 5th.
Okay,
So, but I would just say that if we do get some information
Definitely.
on this, possible closure, you know, if we have to call a special meeting, we'll let you know. But we'll certainly get any information out to you that we learn along the way, and just ask if you hear anything too that sounds a little more definitive to let us know.
okay,
And definitely shoot me your questions, I'll put it together, we'll get this commuter survey together, and, when the time is right, we'll send it out.
okay.
That's good. Thank you all. Well,
Who's ready
Thank
to
you.
adjourn the meeting with me?
I'll adjourn it. Oh, we all do.
Everyone, hands up. You ready to go? We're adjourning the meeting. It is 7:43. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
have a good
Thank
night.
you all
Bye-bye
so
now.
much.
Take care.
Bye.